Excellent. Thank you so much for coming out to today's, sorry, be on video. Thank you very much for coming out to today's SYB webinar on EMF protection clothing with Arthur Menard, CEO and co-founder of HAVN by Lambs. Ooh, nice mustache. I don't think you had one last time I saw you.
Trying this out. We'll see.
Yeah, cool. So before we begin, two quick housekeeping notes. One, yes, you will get the replay link delivered to your inboxes tomorrow, assuming the recording goes okay, but it's never failed us so far, knock on wood. And second, we will have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions that pop in your head during my chat with Art, just type them into the Q&A pod, please, not into the chat pod. If they're in the chat pod, they will get lost. So put them into the Q&A pod. Very briefly about myself, I'm the host for this afternoon. My name is R. Blank. I'm the CEO of Shield Your Body, the host of the Healthier Tech podcast. Formerly served on the engineering faculty of the USC Viterbi School of Engineering, and was, along with my father, Dr. Martin Blank, co-author of Overpowered, what is now 10 years later still one of the best and most comprehensive and accessible books on the science of the health effects of EMF radiation. Previous to this current incarnation of my life, I had a 20-year career in software engineering. So you're not here to see me today, though. You're here to see our guest. Arthur Menard is CEO and co-founder of HAVN by Lambs, a health-focused apparel company pioneering EMF shielding and antimicrobial clothing. With a background in both science and entrepreneurship, Arthur blends cutting-edge innovation with practical wellness solutions. Under his leadership, HAVN by Lambs has become known for integrating Faraday technology into everyday wear. I would also say stylish and comfortable everyday wear, helping people protect their bodies from wireless radiation while staying comfortable and stylish. So quickly, today's agenda. We'll get started. I'll be having a chat with Arthur. And then we will have a Q&A session for all of you to have your questions answered. And very briefly in between, as a thank you to all of you, we'll have a special discount available for HAVN wear. So we'll do the interview. I'll give you all the discount as a thank you for turning out this afternoon, and then we will get into Q&A. A second reminder, please type your questions into the Q&A pod in Zoom. So with that, I believe I can turn off screen sharing, and everyone gets to now see Arthur's beautiful face as the focus. How are you doing this afternoon?
And the mustache.
Yeah.
Doing great. I'm excited to be here, R. You and I had a conversation on the pod previously, and one thing that I mentioned is in this small world of EMF protection, you're one of the pioneers on doing a lot of the really important work of educating people the right way and giving them access to the right information, where unfortunately that's not the case for and it's for a lot of actors out there, and it's hard to find the right level of information on that topic that is new and emerging. And so I'm always stoked to have conversations with you, man.
Thank you so much. I really, that was very kind of you. I appreciate that. And you brought up something that wasn't in my list of questions, and I actually will ask that. But before we get to that, I think one thing that it came up in our podcast interview and really interests me, and I think would be of interest to the attendees here, is your background in science. Obviously, there are a lot of scientists involved in the EMF space in general, but not really on the protection side, not in the companies that make the products that are supposed to reduce our exposure. So can you talk a little bit about what your background is and how that's informed the path you're currently on?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll probably start with actually my personal story, and I'm not going to bore people. I'm going to be very quick on this, but I grew up seeing two of my grandparents battle cancer for all my life. And so from very early on, I developed a keen interest in longevity, as well as cancer. And I wouldn't say a passion for cancer, but at the very least on understanding, the science behind it and mitigation, and what we can do to mitigate it for the future. And so that interest culminated in a master's degree where I double majored in engineering and biology, with a focus on human health and genetics. My very first job out of college was studying the genomic patterns of prostate cancer, which incidentally is the first cancer that my grandpa dealt with. So very, very personal to me. Through that experience, I was exposed to a lot of the research regarding the link between EMF and potentially higher risks of cancer. Ended up diving into the research, and what I found led me to think that one, this was a problem that where we had sufficient evidence today to want to take an active mitigation stance against, and two, that we were going towards a world of more and more exposure and not less exposure, and that people would have a rightful need to want to protect their long-term health as the word would start getting out. And when we got started on this journey, unfortunately, there weren't really any a lot of good solutions out there, and a lot of products that were stickers and
Pendants.
widgets that
Yeah.
supposedly filter radiation, where there is no scientific basis, and this is coming from an engineer, behind any of these. And so we essentially set out to create a science-backed solution, and that has been really our motto with HAVN, is being rooted in science, both on how the education that we're trying to do on the EMF problem, and through my biology background, but also on how the products work, and creating a solution that is actually tested, certified, and that works. So
And what made you focus on clothing and apparel in particular? I understand you want to focus on something that actually works, which is obviously great. But there are other forms of protection that work. What led you to apparel?
yeah, well, so if you look at the reason why we're exposed to EMF today is mostly because our devices, cell phone, computer, Wi-Fi routers, etc., are connecting with, are talking to one another, or talking to the internet, or talking to cell phone towers in order to function the way they're supposed to function. And in doing so, this is why they emit EMF. So a device level protection or shielding will interfere with the ability of the device to properly function with the connectivity that it's supposed to have. And so that's one thing. And then the second piece being, outside of your own devices, even assuming that you're okay with that and you want to leave your cell phone on airplane mode when you're not using it, and that you're not using Wi-Fi but Ethernet, and that you don't have any connected devices, whether as wearables or in your home, and that you have an old version of a car, and it's definitely not an electric car, etc. Even if you're doing all this, you're still getting the exposure, if you live in a city, from the cell phone towers that are all around us, other people's phones and devices, etc. And so exposure today is very hard to avoid. And even at a device shielding level, you're still going to get other types of exposure. And so shielding the body, SYB, is the best way today to effectively mitigate EMF exposure as much as possible, while not impacting the way we utilize technology today and not having to change anything in our lifestyle outside of
Yeah.
your underwear and your t-shirt and your hats. But like that's a low lift change compared to technological change.
The one of the things about apparel is, at least as far as I understand it, it's really the only form of protection that works when you're out in the world, right? So, I mean, like you were mentioning, your cell phone, that's under your control. You can put
Right.
it in airplane mode. You can put it further away from your body. Your Wi-Fi. Um, at home, you can turn it off or hardwire. At the office, though, right, you
Harder.
can't.
Yep.
And so like we often get quite one of the most common questions that we have an unsatisfactory answer to at SYB is how do I protect myself in my car? And the answer is apparel.
Yep.
What are some of the most common misconceptions about EMF shielding apparel that you think are worth clearing up?
Yeah. Actually, one that we get fairly often is um, the misconception that because the apparel has holes, that it is not performing its function, and that the EMF. So I'm wearing a HAVN t-shirt right now, and one of the misconception is that through the armholes, EMF might penetrate and then get trapped within the t-shirt and then reflect back and forth and increase the exposure level. Um, the reality behind this is that our bodies are lossy mediums, meaning they absorb EMF radiation over time, and so and so and the second, the fabric itself dissipates. It's You have two methods of actually reducing EMF exposure. One is the EMF gets bounces off the fabric, and the second one is part of it is also getting dissipated by the fabric itself. Without getting too technical, what this means is if you have indeed EMF that goes through the armhole here, your body is going to absorb a good chunk of it before it gets to any essential organ. And anything that bounces off and gets back to the fabric, a good chunk of it is also going to be dissipated whenever it would bounce. But you're not going to have a phenomena of amplification like you could have in a room that you would build as a Faraday cage. So if you are using, EMF paint in a room, for instance, and then you introduce a device that emits radiation in this room, that room will trap the radiation inside, and that radiation won't get amplified, but it will get reflected, and it's not going to get absorbed unless, or not as efficiently absorbed as your body would until it reaches your body. And that's why radiation shielding paint, for instance, can be a double-edged sword if you don't fully understand how it works. It's not only very expensive, but also it's very reducive afterwards with regards to making sure you're not introducing any emission-emitting devices in there. So yeah, the biggest misconception, I think, is the idea that because it has holes, it's amplifying exposure. That is not the case. And also the second part is that EMF exposure comes from every direction. And so yes, on the whole specifically aspect, if you have a radiation wave that comes in that angle, it is not going to be protected by the shirt, but you're already getting so much shielding from the rest of your body and most and surrounding your essential organs that you're getting at the best level of protection you can get. And this is tested in laboratories on human phantoms, which are mannequins that resemble human body, both from a physical and chemical level, and then makes sure that we're not that we're actually seeing a reduction in effect in exposure, and we are seeing a 99.9% reduction.
So that's
Long-winded answer.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you reminded me of another thing we spoke about in our last interview, which was your testing regimen, and you just alluded to it. Can you go into a little more detail about how it is you test and vet your products and the claims that you make in your marketing.
Yeah. So we've done a number of things at Haven. The first testing that we did was the IEEE 299 standard, which is essentially measuring the shielding capability of our fabric. This is the most standard test you can do. And the second part of this is making sure that so that is the fabric itself, not the fabric in interaction with your body. And so the second testing that we do is essentially we use what's called a human phantom, which, as I mentioned before, recreates the same property at a physical level, chemical level, as a human body has to ensure that the interaction of our body is not interfering with the shielding ability of the fabric that we develop, and that we are actually seeing a similar reduction level, or actually measure the reduction in exposure at an organ level. And so this is the second phase of testing that we conduct. And then we've also conducted early studies on physiological markers such as heart rate variability, resting heart rate, and more recently, brain waves via electroencephalograms, all with external institutions. And I'm saying early studies because these are not, what I'm about to say has not been peer reviewed, meaning that it is a step before a full-blown scientific study, which requires a lot more controls and structure. So I don't want to cause any misinformation here. We're essentially gathering early evidence of what wearing Haven can do from a physiological perspective. And the results have been an average increase of 20% from an HRV perspective. Increase in the case of heart rate variability is good. A 5% reduction in resting heart rate, and then a pretty significant return to the norm, normal when it comes to alpha and beta brain waves. We've essentially tested without a phone, without EMF exposure from a phone, without Haven, with a phone, without Haven, and with a phone, with Haven. I might be confusing myself here, but essentially what we're finding is the phone without Haven has a significant impact on alpha and beta brainwave activity, and that wearing a Haven headwear in a similar setting does not compensate for all of it, but at least it gets significantly closer to the non-phone version of your brain activity. Trying to simplify this a little bit here.
Yeah,
But
no, I appreciate that. So the amount of testing you've put into your apparel is, as far as I am aware, the most I've seen any EMF protection company put into apparel. In what other ways would you distinguish Haven's technology and product line from other EMF protection clothing options?
yeah, well, we're the world's first EMF-blocking clothing company. We've been working on our fabric for over a decade now, and we went through. I've actually lost count, but last time we had a count, it was something along the lines of 126 different iterations of the fabric. And so this is the first. One of the first key differentiator is we've built Wave Stopper to be an extremely soft, extremely comfortable fabric that also retain its efficiency and its efficiency in the long term as well. We test for 300 washes, which would be 6 years if you are 5 or 6 years if you're washing your clothing every week. You're going to have wear and tear before on like any other clothing. And the second piece is we've worked with one of our early investor and advisor is the former president of Lululemon. We've also partnered with some of the best product developer and design and technical designers in the world in order to build the products into your most comfortable premium basics that integrate EMF blocking technology. And our North Star has always been that if someone opens a drawer and reaches for a t-shirt, that's going to be our t-shirt, not necessarily just for the EMF protection element, but because of the fit, the comfort, and the style. We're still actively working on it. We keep iterating over and over on it, but what you're going to find, you're never going to find any other company in the world that has the level of testing and certification that we do, combined with the comfort and the style of our products. And on the first point, we were recently awarded a US Air Force contract because of the level of scientific rigidity that we have. I don't know if rigidity is the right word here, but because of how important science is in our process, and that trust from the Air Force is telling about the processes that we have and the difference that HAVN makes compared to companies that are not necessarily science-led and engineer-led.
You all, and congratulations again on that contract. That's fantastic. And for our attendees here who don't know, this contract is to protect pilots, right? Because that's obviously a very high radiation environment. Can you just briefly explain the use case and what kind of caused their interest in reducing EMF that the government isn't regulating?
At a very high level, there is a lot behind it, but in the DoD, there are a lot of end users that are exposed to a significant level of EMF from the profession that they're exercising. Fighter pilots and pilots in general are one of them. That is not limited to the DoD. That is also in the commercial aviation world. But you are sitting in a cockpit with a lot of avionics. A lot of research has been done by the Air Force on the incidence of cancer for aviators, and there as well as the cognitive effect that EMF can cause. And so there is significant concern on both the short-term and long-term effects. And so the work that we do with them today is in integrating our technology into solutions that can help mitigate that effect in the cockpit.
That's fantastic, and that's quite a seal of approval. You also advertise, as do I, that your apparel offers, and I'm not comparing my apparel to yours, just that it's a common claim, that your apparel offers antimicrobial features. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, that's actually a byproduct of creating Wavestopper in the first place, which is our fabric, EMF-blocking fabric. In order to create the shielding effect that we have, we're essentially using conductive fibers. Best conductive fibers that exist for this are silver fibers. One, because it has a very high conductivity power. Two, because it's anti-static. Three, because it doesn't rust. And four, because it is safe to wear against the skin. Contrary to any other, like most of the type of fibers that would not fit all of those criteria that I've just mentioned. Silver also has one big advantage, which is that it is naturally antimicrobial. So silver ions will interact with bacteria's membrane and destroy the bacteria before they can really replicate, which is the process by which we end up smelling, and the reason why our sweat smells. So by a lot of sports clothing today apply silver spraying, nano-silver particle spray on their clothing to make them antimicrobial and anti-stink as well. The challenge here is that the nanoparticles can potentially penetrate the skin. There is like some safety aspect that is concerning, and with Wave Stopper, you're getting a full layer of silver fibers that are integrating within the product and in contact with the skin, which again is very safe and actually recommended by certain dermatologists in certain skin conditions. And that silver fiber is pure silver fiber. It is not made with nanoparticles. And so you're getting a very high level of antimicrobialness. I don't know how many words I'm inventing today, but I'm on it. And and uh, and without while being safe to wear and comfortable in our case.
I see Nancy has a question. I think this is a good opportunity for me to take a quick break and tell everybody about the deal that we are the special offer that we have for everyone here who's in attendance. Nancy's asking what the women's T-shirt looks like, and it's a good time to clarify that your products you don't just sell a T-shirt. You sell a men's T-shirt and a women's T-shirt, and the same for the boxers or the underwear. So there's options for everybody, and we can just take a second here to go through them, and then we'll come back to questions, and I'll start mixing in some ones that we get from you here in attendance today. So if you have a question, I see Nancy first tried to raise her hand, but if you have a question, please type it into the Q&A pod. So that's a separate pod here in Zoom. And if you just give me a second, I have to turn my sharing back on. There we go. So, there we go. So SYB in partnership with HAVN today, for those of you here in attendance, we're proud to offer a special discount on all of the HAVN products in the Shield Your Body store. HAVN isn't just clothing, it's wellness that you can wear. Every piece in this collection is made with proprietary radiation shielding fabric that blocks up to 99% of wireless EMF. Plus, it's antimicrobial, breathable, and incredibly comfortable. So you're not just covered, you're protected. We have the beanie, which is sleek, soft, and smart to keep your head warm and shielded. We have the cap, a very popular product. It looks like a high-quality baseball cap, but it's actually shielded to keep you protected every day. Then we have the T-shirts, and Nancy, if you look on the lower left, you'll see how that differs from the T-shirt on the upper right, but there's T-shirts for men and women. We have the pajama loungewear. These are lightweight, lounge-ready, full body sets that are designed to help your body recharge without wireless interference. And of course, the classic boxers, which I believe was the first product in this line, where comfort meets confidence through soft, breathable support while protecting what obviously is a high value area to many, many people. So with HAVN, you're not just choosing style, you're choosing science-backed self-care designed for daily wear. And as we just heard Arthur explain, built for long-term wellness and durability. And I can say just very, very confidently, this is the most comfortable, and I say this as someone who makes EMF shielding apparel, the HAVN product line is by far the most comfortable and elegant EMF shielding apparel available on the market. And for those of you here tonight, you follow this link, shieldyourbody.com/HAVN, that's HAVN, and the entire catalog that you will find there, including these 3 options, but actually all 6 that you saw on the last slide, automatic 10% discount on all of the HAVN products in the Shield Your Body store through this Sunday, right? So you can look it over tonight. You can talk to maybe a significant other in the morning and get feedback, and then you still have time to come back. As long as you do it before Sunday, you will automatically save 10%. And now we will get back to the Q&A. So give me a second and stop the share. Okay.
Can I can I jump in
Yeah.
real
Did I
quick?
do it justice, or is there an
You
edit?
did, and I appreciate the kind words, R. Thank you. I'll just say one thing. For everyone who has tried the pajamas around me, I've heard two feedback consistently, which is one, they're incredibly comfortable, and two, I sleep so much better at night. And there are a lot of studies that link EMF exposure with lower sleep quality. I track my sleep, and I'm actually able to see a pretty stark difference in how much deep sleep I'm getting when I'm sleeping in HAVN pajamas or when I'm not. Uh, and I now sleep with them all the time. But
Wow.
a lot of people have been experiencing the same thing. And so it is the product that I'm at this stage the most proud of. It took 2 years to get them to the level of comfort that they are today. As crazy as it may sound, this is the length that it takes for most of our product development, and that's why we're able to get to that level of quality and comfort. Anyway, just wanted to.
No, no, totally. Yeah. And I think of the products I showed, that is the newest. It's not your newest product overall, but it's the newest of your products in the Shield Your Body store.
Yes, correct.
And yeah, and it is full body coverage, which is, I mean, because some people, because SYB, for example, we make a canopy, which is obviously one of the more expensive protection options that you can get. But we don't make we make a baby blanket, but we don't make a blanket for your queen or king size bed. And we don't make shielding sheets. And the reason is because they are the potential for misuse of these products. Like if you just buy an EMF shielding blanket and you sleep under it, you're totally unprotected from below. So if you're in an apartment building, for example, any radiation that's coming from your downstairs neighbor is going to come up through the mattress, up through your body, hit the shield, and double back down. And so that's why in terms of bedroom protection, the only real solution we offer is the canopy. But
And the pajamas.
your pajamas loungewear, yeah, your pajamas loungewear is not only comfortable but offers that same degree of full body protection. And I just wanted the attendees to appreciate why that's important. Um, we did have a couple of, Jay Laidlaw, oh, let me click the button. Jay Laidlaw is, are these US prices and do we ship everywhere? And the answer is yes, these prices are in US dollars. They will, and yes, we ship everywhere. When you're shopping on our site, you will see the prices automatically converted to your local currency. And our shipping costs are also posted on the site. But we ship literally to every country in the world. Anonymous asks if all of your clothes are 100% organic cotton.
Yes, that is a change that we made recently. And so I believe at this stage, we went through a full inventory cycle. There might be a couple SKUs today, a couple versions of the clothing that are pure organic, but we've always had that are non-organic cotton, but we've always sourced US-based high quality cotton, and we're also Ecotex certified, which is the highest level of skin safety and just both skin and ecological safety when it comes to the fibers that we use. So either way, you're dealing with high quality fibers that are extremely safe to wear.
Excellent, thank you. Good question. Elaine asks if there are any sheets. I just explained why I don't carry them. I know they're not in your catalog, but and I don't know if you talk about your roadmap, but is that a product that you're interested in?
Um, you actually covered it really well. We are currently we are prototyping a few different options for the future that would make sure that you're encapsulated and not exposed. So we may have some news on that front at the end of the year or the beginning of next year. But as you mentioned, it takes it's not as simple as just and actually I'll take this opportunity to say this. When designing products for that matter, it's not as simple as simply putting an EMF shielding layer into something to make it an efficient product. There is there is field testing that is necessary to understand how it's effectively performing in different environments, as well as how well does it cover specific organs and so on and so forth. So for instance, one of the questions that we get all the time is why not you just use our wave stopper fabric in front of the genitals for the boxer and have the rest of the boxer being pure cotton. That would bring the cost down because, for the record, the reason our products are priced the way they are is because our fabric costs more than cashmere to manufacture. So unfortunately, this is the reality of it. And so why don't we just use a layer in front of the genitals? Because that would not provide enough coverage to actually be an effective shield. And there is a if you are you can even create the opposite, which is create an antenna effect if you have too little coverage. And so all of these factors have to come into play when designing a product and make it that it's not a simple flip of a button and we can create new product categories. So there's a lot of thinking and engineering that needs to go into it.
Yeah, I remember when we first met, and I believe your company was still maybe in France at the time, but it was a long time ago.
We had just moved, yeah.
Yeah, and there was a competitor that did just shield the groin. I don't even remember who they were, but they just shielded the groin. And like you say, not only are there complex use cases where that could be suboptimal, if you put your phone in your back pocket, it's the use case that's a very common use case, and that's going to end up effectively doubling, roughly effectively doubling the amount of
Even the
exposure to
side
your
pocket.
gonads.
Even the side pocket for the most part. Some yeah, it just goes to show that it's unfortunately more complicated, and we've had this case several times with people coming onto the market and trying to be cheaper or offer variations without understanding the science and the technology behind it and without running the proper necessary testing. And that's why the advice that I would give everyone here, even if it's not Haven, I don't care, is to really be very attentive to who you're choosing when it comes to EMF protection and the level of seriousness that they have in their tests and in the building of their products, because it's not straightforward to create the right level of protection.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I would say I realize now earlier I said I don't think there's any other EMF shielding apparel companies that go to your level of testing. I realize now thinking about it more, I don't think there's any other consumer grade EMF shielding companies that go to that level of testing that you've described. The only times I've seen that sort of thing are on industrial
yep,
solutions. So
I
it's,
I would agree.
yeah, and because it's not cheap. I mean, I couldn't afford to do that to my product line today the way you guys have done. Oh, I was still answering Elaine's question. Let me turn that off. Okay. Jay Laidlaw again asks, how do you protect your head in your sleep?
We actually have lightweight beanie, and you carry it are in the SYB store. Um, the lightweight beanie was specifically designed for this because we have a normal version of the beanie. The lightweight was designed for two things: one, summer or interior wear, not as warm as a traditional beanie, but two, sleeping specifically. It is much thinner, lighter, and much more comfortable for sleep. Some people can experience sometimes the beanie slipping off depending on your head shape, hair, and a bunch of other factors,
Or lack thereof.
or lack thereof. Getting there too. We the recommendation that we have then is if you go to Amazon, you can usually find bands that are adjustable that you can insert in the interior of the lightweight beanie, and that will help keep it in place in a comfortable manner. For most people, it stays on. We've just had that issue, so figured I would share the tip.
Thank you. There's more questions coming in. Before that, there's something. So every time I see you, whether it's us talking directly or I see you giving a presentation, you're always in lamb's wear. I'm sorry, Haven wear, for obvious reasons. But I'm wondering, what are your plans for when you get married? How are you going to walk down the aisle? Will there be a formal line?
Um, my fiance is a fashion stylist, so I think if we were asking her to get married in current Haven gear, she would not necessarily fully agree. I will say that I will be 100% for sure be wearing the boxer.
Okay.
And we are also a lot of people are using our t-shirts as undershirts. So there is an option if you want to wear it under a proper shirt.
I forget, do they come in white?
We often have white on the website. I don't know if we have it available right now, but it
Mhm.
is a color that we're going to bring in permanently. So it is, if it's not there right now, it is coming for sure.
And that reminds me, one thing you folks do, which I notice other major consumer brands do, but no one else in the EMF space, as far as I'm aware, is special drops. So you'll just come out with a color like once or once a year. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, we are, as you can see on the screen right now, the products that we offer are all in black. It's not because we're particularly morose or fans of heavy metal, but simply because black is the most popular color for clothing across every category. With
Hmm.
that being said, we enjoy colors. I enjoy colors. I'm wearing blue today. And so we're still, we're not a Lululemon type of company yet, where we have billions of dollars to play with and we can afford to have 20 colors live at the same time. So what we do in order to compensate is we'll launch colors that are coming once, and we rotate through colors that we're able to offer on a limited basis to our customers. And one thing that we do is we actively listen to everyone who sends us emails or interact with us on social media with regards to the colors that they want to see in the future, and we keep track. So don't hesitate to be vocal on that front. We are actually listening. Doesn't mean that the color you're throwing at us will get produced, but your voice is being heard. And so white is definitely our most popular color after black, and it is coming as a permanent color. Um,
Yeah.
Probably towards the later part of the year. We might still have a drop coming. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, it's not just apparel where black is the most popular color. All the time people are saying, why is your entire, to me, why is your entire catalog black? And because every time we sit down, we're launching a product and we do product research, the most popular options
It's always
are
black.
black. I'm like, how many can I afford to produce? So
Yep.
Cheryl says, I missed the opening of this event that discussed the tech. Will you be sending out a recording? The answer is yes. It will be 24 hours after this ends. Sorry, after it began. So 23 hours and change from now, it'll be an email from Zoom, and it will contain the link to watch the full replay. Um, Oh, Nancy asks, and the get can they? She's not clear which product she's asking about, but Is your clothing designed to be worn over regular underwear?
No. With regards to if you're asking about the underwear itself, no, it is designed to be a standalone underwear. Um, I you you could, I assume, wear it with
Well, I
other
could,
underwear, but
yeah, I could think of one use case, right? Because those pajamas, as we talked about,
pajamas,
they're
yes.
full body and they're not inexpensive. And so maybe if you sleep with underwear under them, it'll reduce the amount you need to wash them.
Yeah, I was thinking specifically of the boxers here or underwear, but yeah, for the pajamas, you can absolutely wear your favorite underwear underneath. You'll be just fine.
Oh, anonymous. Does a bra, and I'm not an expert in how these are made, but I do know some have metal in them. Does a bra impact the performance when wearing a t-shirt?
No. Um, the no, this uh, the simple answer is you're getting the shielding outside, and your bra is inside. So unless you wear your bra upside down, you're not gonna have an issue. And even if you did, I don't think it would actually have that much of an impact. Never
Thank
tested
you.
for the upside down element, but
Yeah, and they don't have exposed metal anyway, so there'd be that insulating layer over the metal. So the
yeah,
metal wouldn't
exactly.
be coming in contact with
No.
the
And
t-shirt.
one thing that I can share is that we are working on a bra option on our end that is coming out very soon. And that again, it's been more than 2 years in the making, but
Wow.
we're close.
Very cool. Someone is asking, do you offer different colors and different sizes? We already discussed the colors. There are some standard color. Black is the most common in your catalog. There's some others that you offer commonly, and then there's others that you drop on special drops.
Yeah,
In
we
term, oh, yeah, go, yep.
Oh, I was about to say, usually once a week we'll do a special drop. If you're signed up to a newsletter, you'll find them in there. Our store is connected to the SYB store, so you might be able also to find them on SYB. Not entirely sure how the technical aspect works here. I was not directly involved, but R can speak to it. And with sizes, yeah, we cover all traditional sizes. We don't have the super edge cases, and I apologize for that. It's just a matter of you know having a product.
Economics.
Yeah, economics exactly.
Yeah.
Again, we're not a Lululemon, so we can't afford to produce triple XLs, or I think we stop at double XL or triple XS either.
Yeah. And I will say, um, uh, Arthur and his team are based in Los Angeles, so this may have something to do with it. But in my view, the sizes do run a little small because I guess everyone in Los Angeles is super thin and in shape. But yeah, so if there's any doubt, I'd say go one size up. But that's just personal opinion. Arthur can yell at me later if I was wrong.
No, I concur.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have the right sizing, but if in doubt, I would say size up.
Yeah. Cheryl asked, this is a good question, and it gives us an opportunity to get a little more in depth here. How do the PJs fully protect you like a canopy if your head, hands, and feet are exposed? Thanks. And so I'm the one responsible for, I think, throwing that language into this interview. So let me start. That you are correct. They don't fully protect you the way a canopy does because there are parts of your body that remain exposed. When I was so in this case, we agree on the head and the hands. The head depends on wait, did I say head and hands? Sorry, the feet and hands are fully exposed. And the head is exposed if you don't wear a beanie or something else. When I was talking about fully protected. I was talking about because your body is fully wrapped. It's not just shielded on one side, and it's the full torso plus the area of your body that has your reproductive organs, plus additional space too, right? Because the legs go down further, and so it gives you very wide coverage from this fully wrapped perspective, but it doesn't, you are correct that it doesn't cover your feet and hands, and your head remains unprotected too if you don't use the beanie. But that's what I was talking about, and thank you, Cheryl, for pointing that out. That's what I was talking about when I was talking about fully protected. And this is something I wanted to bring up earlier, Arthur. Just I think and you touched on it in our earlier in the chat, but this is what I think is a common misconception among certain segments of the customer base, which is, putting on a HAVN baseball cap doesn't protect your body. It protects the part of your body that the cap is actually covering, right? And so this is a key. We talked about how apparel is really the only form of protection available for a huge wide variety of use cases, but it doesn't fully protect every part of your body when you use it, just like a magical pendant would.
Right, exactly. And the magical pendants do not work, just for the record. There is no such thing as purifying EMF or whatever marketing language is being used. It changes all the time. There is no quantum technology that can magically shield you. And yeah, unfortunately, there is no 100% solution outside of bed canopies, as R mentioned, or EMF paint, and then you need to make sure that you
Yeah.
are keeping all devices away, etc. So it's always the question of function, and how much change do you want versus how much protection are you able to get. One thing that I did want to point out is the science is still evolving, but for the understanding that we have today with regards to the mechanism of harm of EMF, and I'm not going to get too nerdy here, but the research points it to be mostly tied to activation of voltage-gated calcium channels in our cells, which are key communication mechanisms in the membranes of our cells that are activated by electric signals. And the EMF are thought by research seem to indicate that EMF can interfere with the activation of these channels, lead to a influx of calcium ions in our cells, which then can lead to free radicals production and oxidative stress, which in turn can damage the cells, create DNA damage, and damage tissues. Why am I pointing all this? And sorry if I lost half of the attendees here. The reason I'm pointing this out is voltage-gated calcium channels are particularly present in certain organs, such as the genitals, such as the heart, such as the blood-brain barrier. And so when it comes to EMF protection, I mean, we don't have the full picture of how much protection do you need really, but if you have to start somewhere, you should start with these organs that I've just mentioned, and shielding the essential organs is the best bang for your buck, if I may, that you're going to get, versus trying to cover every single part of your body. Again, if you have the option, I'd rather have zero exposure whatsoever. But at least myself on a personal basis, I'm a big believer in the 80-20 principle, meaning with what I'm wearing right now, and I'm wearing our joggers plus our underwear, t-shirt, and hats. I think this is enough coverage to get 80+% of the benefit of EMF protection, if not more. And I'm not feeling the need to go and go too extreme in getting my hands and my feet covered as well.
Yeah.
So I'll take that risk at least, and
Yeah.
and it's always a trade-off otherwise with regards to your lifestyle and how you're living.
Yeah, I mean, when I use a cell phone, I'm holding it in my hand. No matter how safely, no matter how
Right.
safely I'm using it, I'm holding it in my hand.
But by the
Um,
time the radiation goes through your arm, and like it's gonna be absorbed by your body before it reaches any essential organs, as we
yeah,
mentioned before.
yeah.
So
The critical organs are the most important. And
exactly.
your site, the work that if anyone's interested in the work that Arthur was referencing, the science, maybe Arthur, you were referencing something else, but the work I'm aware of on voltage gated calcium channels is by Dr. Martin Paul, out of, I believe, SUNY Albany. Um, so he has multiple studies on that topic. So if you just want to Google Martin Paul G, voltage, VGCC. Sorry, I always, that,
Voltage gated, yeah, VGCCs.
yeah. Magda asked if they are machine washable. We've already addressed this, but very quickly, the number I think you said you had wash testing up to 300 times.
Yep, correct.
Yep.
So
And that's
wash them on.
without loss in performance.
Yes. Now this does not necessarily account for the wear and tear that you're gonna have, obviously. But machine washable, we recommend washing on cold and hang dry or tumble low, without too much heat.
Yeah.
The more heat, like think of it. I mentioned cashmere before with regards to the price. Think of it as cashmere, and in how you would. I mean, no need to dry clean it, but it's a technical fabric, so you should take better care of it than your average fruit of the loom
Yeah, no, thank you
products.
for bringing that. I should have asked that earlier when you talked about it. And any special detergent?
No, you're good to
Okay.
go on that front.
So Arthur has been incredibly generous with his time here. We're going to wind down, but maybe one or two other questions. And I thank you everybody for all of the questions. This is great. I haven't had a chance to ask one of my own questions at all in the second half of this event, so thank you. Um, okay, I wear EMF blocking boxers from another brand, and when I go through the security millimeter wave scanner at airports, they end up patting me down every time, which makes me feel fairly uncomfortable as a dude. Will these boxers result in the same? So before I hand this off to you, because your answer may be different, number one is if you're concerned about reducing your EMF exposure, you should be opting for the pat down, because those devices are unnecessary doses of EMF. That said, twice as a personal test, I did go through those millimeter wave scanners in my SYB boxers, which are similar technology, not as comfortable as Haven, but similar technology. And yes, I was forced for the pat down both times. And so, Arthur.
Anything that has metal in it will result in being picked up by those scanners, whatever it may be. We are made with silver fiber. Silver is a metal, so you will definitely get the pat down. Couple of suggestions that I have for people here. I mean, first of all, if you have TSA pre-check, that does not become an issue anymore. Second, we offer hoodies, which I personally fly with, and then I don't fly with the t-shirt. That allows me to not have to put the hoodies through the detector. And as R mentioned, if I when I was not TSA pre-checked, I would opt for the pat down. I'm getting it anyways because I'm wearing the boxers, and anyone can opt out for any reason. You don't have to have a good reason. You can just say you don't want to go through that machine for EMF reason, or you can make up one. Doesn't matter. Point being, you're allowed to opt out. You might get a longer pat down, and they're gonna check like all areas of your body, but quite frankly, it's not gonna result in more time. So that would be my recommendation as well.
Yeah, I've actually gotten full um, bag inspections because I have the SYB laptop pad in my carry-on, and so that almost always gets me a full inspection. In fact, when I don't get the full inspection, I'm a little worried about what they're doing. Um,
Don't get in a plane then.
yeah.
Turn around.
Someone asked, it's a very long question, I'm not going to repeat it, but it's about the nuances of EMF clothing and gaps in the clothing and EMF bouncing. And I'm not trying to diminish the question by summarizing it in that way. I just wanted whoever asked it to know which question I'm referring to. Go back and watch the first part of this interview where Arthur gives a very detailed answer to that. So again, you'll be getting the replay in about 23 hours from now. Oh, this is a good. Do the PJs? You've talked about design considerations and the amount of time you go into designing a product. And I also mentioned I recommend people go size up if there's any doubt. Is there shrinkage if you do the air dry?
Yes. Oh, outright no. The shrinkable amount, what we consider appropriate for shrinkage, is up to 5%. It's
Okay.
impossible to have zero shrinkage when you wash it for the first time. But up to 5% is the standard that any clothing company that is respectable will have. So that's the max you would have. However, for some people who might have too big of a size or want something more fitted, if you do put it in a dryer, you might experience on higher heat, you might experience a little more shrinkage. So for people who actually want the opposite effect, this might be an option that will reduce a little bit the lifespan of the product. So I wouldn't recommend doing it often, but potentially doing it once doesn't seem to impact the shielding capacity of wave stopper, but will create a snugger fit. So that's a little tip for people who like a more European fit.
So one more question. I actually really like this one. And Arthur, again, thank you so much for the generosity of your time here. And I'm interested. I
Super
have an
happy to be
answer
here.
to, I have an answer for this if you don't. But again, I think it's quite an interesting question. Will using a grounding mat, or I'm going to modify the question a little bit. Let's assume we have you have a customer using your loungewear pajamas to sleep in. Would using grounding bed sheets enhance the benefits of your loungewear?
Oof. I'd be curious to hear your answer. I'm pausing because I want to give a proper answer here. I don't know enough about the construction of a grounding mat today to give a fully informed answer. I know that the emerging science around grounding looks promising in some respect, but that it is very early as well. And what I can say is I enjoy walking barefoot at the beach or in parks, and I definitely feel something there. I don't know if it's placebo effect or not, but I unfortunately don't have a fully informed answer on that front, so I don't want to do any misconceptions. So I'm curious to hear your answer.
Sure. So grounding is, as Arthur politely referred to it, as an uncertain area. I would refer to it more as a politically explosive area that's tangential to EMF protection. People have very strong and very differing opinions on it. Not that grounding in general, like Arthur was using the example of walking barefoot in the park, or in my example on the beach. No one disputes that that's good for you. The problem comes with all the scenarios in which we have to ground in real life, which a lot of people mean plugging into an outlet. And once you do that, you can potentially be exposing yourselves to other electrical pollutants. And at Shield Your Body, we actually have a lot of material that dives deep onto that. But let's step separate from that question about whether and how to ground. The question of whether sleeping in HAVN loungewear on a grounding sheet could help improve the benefits of the loungewear. And the answer I'll give is a modification of the same answer that I would give if the question were about my SYB canopy. Because there are EMF canopies out there that are sold with grounding kits included in them. And we don't do that. And the reason is because I believe that when you include the grounding kit, you are effectively encouraging the customer to ground the product. And most people don't need to. The exception happens is if you are in an area of high electric fields, and just de-energizing your bedroom won't fix it, right? So either you can't de-energize your bedroom, meaning turning off at the circuit breaker so you get all the power out of the walls. You either can't do that, or doing it doesn't fix the high electrical fields. If you're wearing HAVN loungewear and then sleeping on grounding sheets, and then you're grounding those sheets, that would, I believe, discharge a lot of the electrical field buildup that would accumulate on any EMF protection in that type of environment. So I apologize if I got too into the weeds there, but that would be my answer to that question. So in an area of elevated electric fields that you can't do anything about, that could help. And otherwise, I don't see why that would benefit.
Awesome. I learned something too today.
Oh man, I have a whole bunch of super long, boring videos I can share with you. Uh, So again, thank you everyone for coming out today. The questions were fantastic. I really appreciate everybody's contribution, everybody taking the time out from today. Arthur, who is a much busier entrepreneur than I am, taking time out of the middle of his day to come and share his knowledge with all of us. A reminder that the special offer is 10% off the HAVN wear in the SYB catalog. You can just jump to it at shieldyourbody.com/HAVN, HAVN. And the discount's automatically applied when you follow that link. So you don't need to memorize a code or anything like that. And that is through the weekend. And yes, you will all get a link to the replay from today's webinar in about 23 hours, delivered straight to your inbox. Arthur, as always, a great pleasure. I love what you guys are doing. It's super exciting to see all the different announcements that keep coming out of HAVN, and I'm really looking forward to continuing our relationship and seeing what you can accomplish in the next 5, 10, and 20 years.
Same here. Thank you so much, R, for having me. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and hopefully you learned a thing or two today. And are always a pleasure to have this conversation with another real passionate individual about the topic. There are a few of us out here, and yeah, always enjoy a good conversation with you.
Thanks so much, man. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.